Visit the Pigeon Island Nature Reserve in St Lucia next and join in a true Caribbean street party. Alistair Appleton accompanies the travel bug. We're all brides and billionaires in St Lucia now with the travel bug.
Flight 209, depart gate 15.
Today on the Travel Bug, we set off for the island of St Lucia, where you can get a noseful of the spectacular sulphur springs, take a stroll through the old French capital, sail the seas in search of whales, or get down at the jump up. The twin peaks of the Pitons, the trademark of St Lucia, a mango-shaped island in the eastern Caribbean, part of the Windward chain, and, as I hear, a bit more upmarket than Jamaica and the Dom Rep, and as you can see, much more mountainous and rugged than Barbados. Between Martinique and St Vincent and just 160 kilometres west of Barbados, St Lucia is one of the smallest Caribbean islands, but attracts over 500,000 holidaymakers a year, thanks to its hot tropical climate and average temperatures of 26 degrees Celsius. Most tourists head to the north of the island, to the capital, Castries. The first inhabitants of St Lucia were the Arawak people from South America, who were chased away by the much fiercer Caribs. So fierce, in fact, that when the 17th century brought French and English colonists, the Caribs put up a ferocious fight for almost 150 years. This is Pigeon Island Nature Reserve, although as far as I can see there are no pigeons, and strictly speaking it's not an island because they've built this causeway, and actually technically it's not a nature reserve either because it's a national landmark. But that said, it is a delightful place to spend some time, and there is oodles of history. Stronghold of pirates, barracks for soldiers, whaling station and a yachtsman's haven, Pigeon Island has been all of these. And if you scratch the surface of St Lucia's history, one fact always comes up, that the island changed hands between the British and the French 14 times. But no one really explains why. And the reason lies 20 miles away in the haze over there, the island of Martinique. Now, Martinique used to be the main base for the French Navy. And each time that Britain and France went to war, Britain would capture St Lucia, but only to get hold of Pigeon Island, because from here they could keep an eye on the French fleet. Behind me is Rodney Bay, where 100 British warships lay at anchor before they went off to clobber the French. Today, Pigeon Island is a far more peaceful place. As well as the historical sites, there's also a local museum and some beautiful beaches. It also stages the island's yearly jazz festival. This is a lovely place to just come and chill out. But particularly if you're staying in the north of the island, it's a good first stop to get your bearings and to get your head around the history. Although St Lucia is an English-speaking country, the French influence can still be felt. Most of the place names are French, and in the south you'll hear a French patois being spoken. Chances are you'll probably be staying in a hotel in the north of the island, but paradoxically most of the interesting tourist sites are in the south. So Soufrière, the old French capital behind me, is going to be your first port of call. If you're coming on an organised day trip, you'll dock in Soufrière and then be whisked off to sample some of the southern delights. La Tourette waterfall is top of the agenda, but to be honest, it's a lot of fuss about nothing. Far too man-made for my liking, but thankfully you're not here for very long. You're ferried in and then straight out, allowing just enough time for a photo opportunity. Next on the itinerary, though, shouldn't be missed. The world's only drive-in volcano, that has to be St Lucia's #1 hotspot. Though it doesn't really feel like you've driven in, because 40,000 years ago the back wall of the crater was blown away, leaving just these rather satanic-looking sulphur springs, which smell like 100,000 eggs left out in the sun for a few millennia. If you want to visit the springs independently, they're open daily from 9 AM to 5 PM. Once you've driven into the drive-in volcano, you have a bit of a clamber to get up to the sulphur springs themselves, but it's well worth it because they're fantastic. Unfortunately, you can't get any closer because 14 years ago, a tour guide called Gabriel fell into one of the steam vents and got second-degree burns. Still, they did name one of the craters after him. This is Gabriel's Hole. The official tours of the south do tend to go at breakneck speed, so if you prefer to amble, renting a car could be a good idea. Although the tour does give you a couple of well-needed hours in Soufriere. St. Lucians tend to like a big lunch and a little dinner, so if you're starving hungry in the middle of the day, there are plenty of mid-price restaurants like this one, Camilla's in Soufriere, where you can get local food at a good cost. This is callaloo soup, it's a speciality, it's like spinach. And here we got fish creole, very typical of course, dasheen, which is a fancy potato, green fig patty and pigeon-eyed beans, and finished off with a pawpaw juice. Can I please eat it now? Once you've filled a hole, head back out and enjoy the town. There are two main tourist attractions in Soufriere, the church and the town square, where, on this spot during the French Revolution, a guillotine stood. Apparently, if you were a French aristocrat back then, sailing to the Caribbean wasn't far enough to save your neck. The appeal of the oldest town on the island is the architecture and atmosphere. With a smattering of colonial buildings and typically laid-back Caribbean attitude, this is a great place to wander and enjoy. Down by the port, the wear and tear of the Caribbean climate has taken its toll, but a certain charm still remains. Soufriere hasn't exactly been the luckiest town in history. There's been 5 major hurricanes here, 1 earthquake, and in 1955, half the town was razed by fire. Despite this bad karma, the town really is worth a visit, and it's important to be able to enjoy it at your own pace. But for most, a couple of hours will probably be enough. Even if your all-inclusive package up in the north is pampering you to death, you should definitely take the time to do the tour of the south. Some moments were a bit iffy. I didn't really like the waterfall, but the bubbling springs were really muddy and hot and fantastic, and Soufriere is a real delight. And of course, the boat ride home is the perfect way to see the Pitons. Most of the hotels in St. Lucia are in the north end of the island and at the top end of most people's price range. But still, if you've got cash to throw around, then this is the place to throw it, because you really do get your money's worth. The majority of the island's accommodation is all-inclusive, but we're talking exclusive all-inclusive. 4- and 5-star hotels line the island's north-west coast, and there are a couple in the south, the Jalousie Hilton and the spectacular La Ladera. Le Sport in the north of the island offers the body holiday, promoting fitness, health and well-being. Sounds like hard work? Well, in fact, it's quite the opposite. The fantastic Oasis Spa offers all kinds of treatments from foot massages to seaweed body wraps. How could you not unwind? A daily activities programme is organised for those that want more than just pampering. Tai Chi, bike rides, tennis, not to mention all the water sports. You can just about do everything. And when your day is through, there's just as much choice when it comes to food. I still get very excited about the idea of all-inclusivity in a glamorous hotel like the Sport, because when it comes to eating, you've got the main restaurant and then the buffet and the deli. Then you also have this fantastic haute cuisine restaurant on the ocean with fabulous fusion food, and at the end, it doesn't really feel like you're paying for it. The restaurant promotes the Taoist idea of health and harmony. It's very East meets West, yin and yang, very now. It struck me when it arrived, actually, that these 2 spikes here represent the Pitons, which are the 2 mountains in St. Lucia. So let me give you a tour of the food. So the starter here, this is rice paper rolls, Vietnamese rice paper rolls with stuffed with duck, I think, and 2 yin-yang dressings. And this rather extraordinary thing is a tuna tartare tower with a little wasabi flower next to it. And moving on to the mains, we have here a vegetable bonanza, which is very good for me because I'm a vegetarian. Again, the Piton spring rolls here. This is a risotto, a tofu with a dressing, and a sesame mash. Very fine. Here we have something for the meat eaters. This is chicken in, again, a quite mountainous creation with a black bean dressing. Finally, a little dessert. Here we have pineapples, of course, probably from St. Lucia, and panna cotta. Coming up after the break, I mingle at the market, take a tropical trip, and boogie down at the jump up. For your ease and convenience, those charming St. Lucians have put all your shopping needs in one place, here in the central market in Castries. T-shirts, dolls, rasta mugs, sarongs, you can find them all here. All those things that seem such a good buy while you're away, but seem decidedly pointless the moment you get them home. Oh, when to sit? I think so. Well, unless you're clean out of hand-painted maracas and Bob Marley wood carvings, then you can probably scoot around the souvenir bit quite quickly and head to the food market. Although you're unlikely to buy anything apart from maybe the odd bottle of sauce for your pantry, the food market is worth a visit. Saturday morning is the best time to come, although this is when it's at its busiest, it's when it's at its liveliest and most vibrant too. Chocolate. It's also a great time to chat to people and spend some time finding out about the local produce before trying it at the restaurants. Claudia, you're our queen of the fresh vegetables in St. Lucia, and I was talking to my friend Orlando down at a restaurant in the south, and he was talking about all these vegetables that I'd never heard of. For example, dasheen. Which of those is dasheen?
Oh, dasheen. This is the dasheen. What we do, we peel it and boil it just like Irish potato. And once it's boiled, it's a little greyish colour inside, but it's very nice. Yeah? Very nice.
And what else? What are these?
Oh, these are Christophine. Some people call them chocho.
Yeah, he talked about those.
These are very nice. These are a vegetable.
It's not sweet.
It's not sweet. It has a similar taste like spuds.
Oh, really?
But yet it's not. You peel, you bake, you do all kind of different ingredients with it.
What about sweet things? What are these?
Oh, these are sweet sop. It's green outside, and the inside is as white as snow.
Really?
I'm gonna let you sample one.
Ooh.
This is it right here. Wow.
Wow. It's like, ooh.
This is how we eat it, like this. Go ahead, look. And we drop the pip out like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's not quite ripe yet, but it's very nice. We make juice out of it, we make ice cream out of it.
What's it called?
Sweet sop or sweet and sour sop. It's a real tropical fruit.
It's like ice cream in a fruit.
We do ice cream and juice out of it, or just eat it as a fruit.
And if all that food leaves you feeling a little peckish, then just behind the market is Food Stall Alley, where you can get cheap snacks. And it's where the locals eat, so it must be good. St. Lucia is a popular destination on most cruise itineraries, and so check with your hotel or just look in the port to see how many liners are berthed. If there are more than 2 or 3, then the chances are that all the tourist attractions are going to be overrun with cruise passengers. And nowhere more so than Pont Serafine, a duty-free shopping centre built for credit card-toting tourists. Diamonds, designer clothes, perfume, electronic goods. This is where you buy them, and you pay about 1/3 less than at home. Castries' other main tourist attractions are Derek Walcott Square, named in honour of St. Lucia's Nobel Prize-winning poet, and the cathedral. The capital is one of the most modern in the Caribbean, having been rebuilt due to 4 devastating fires between 1769 and 1948. The capital, Castries, is the hub of the island for working St. Lucians, and for the tourists it does have duty-free shopping, the market and some banks. But apart from that, forget it. The few tourist attractions there are, like the Derek Walcott Square, when we came here, they were closed. If you've got 4 hours to spare and good sea legs, then apparently you can meet some whales. The boat leaves from Vigy Marina, just 10 minutes drive from Castries.
The thing you've got to remember about these trips is that it's 5% whales and 95% waiting for whales. But then, waiting for whales is pretty good. Captain Chris, I'm sipping my coconut water here on the boat. It's very pleasant, but we haven't actually seen any whales yet.
Well, we're trying our best. What we did see a while ago was a group of dolphin, a pod of dolphin, and they seem to have gone down shortly. So what we're going to do is wait around this area, and as soon as we see them surface, we're going to go after them again.
What sort of whales and things do we see?
Out here we get a lot of sperm whales, pilot whales, and humpback whales. This time of year we're in the humpback whale season. We've been waiting every day now to get into a group of them. There have not been too many sightings, mainly sperm and pilot whales. We do have over 40 different species of whales and dolphin in our Caribbean waters.
Really? If whales are a bit thin on the ground, you can always get the crew to pull in here between the Pitons for a quick swim instead. Oh, what a life.
Actually, not seeing any whales was a real shame, but soaking up the sea air and sun for a few hours managed to soften the blow. One of the island's most popular excursions is the Rainforest Jeep Safari. Having been picked up from your hotel, you head into the centre of the island to the St. Lucia Forest Reserve, 19,000 acres of rainforest and dry forest.
Joe, king of the jungle, is a crucial part of your trip round St. Lucia because he guides the rainforest tour. Not very well. There's no way I'm going to get my trainers wet, I tell you. Taking them off.
The trek takes you through some beautiful scenery to a waterfall where you get to catch your breath. And in this heat and humidity, you'll need it.
Every single tourist I've talked to who's been to other Caribbean islands has loved St. Lucia because of one word, lush. So if you're a fan of lush, then St. Lucia is the place for you. It's such a surprise to get in a car from your resort and drive for an hour and find yourself in this stunning rainforest. And if you come to St. Lucia, you have to come here because this is, without a doubt, one of the best features of the island. And make sure you take the tour because the tour guides are fantastic. Few tips though, wear sensible shoes, not flip-flops, or shoes that you don't mind getting wet because there's quite a lot of climbing through rivers, bug repellent and some water.
If you like to get out of your hotel and explore your holiday destination, the great thing about St. Lucia is that there's plenty to see and do. And with the majority of tourist sites being in the north and southwest, discovering the island is pretty hassle-free.
Take a trip to the less visited east coast of the island to the Fundor Nature Heritage Site. It's a former sugar plantation that's being developed as an attraction by the Tourist Board.
The tour takes you around this 18th century estate, the only place on the island where you can see 3 generations of mill. You're also told a little about the lives of the African slaves brought here to tend the crops.
Back in the 18th century, this mountain behind me, La Sorcière, was thought to be filled with evil spirits, so that's where the runaway slaves or maroons went to hide. And at night they would come down from the forest and try and release their brothers and sisters and set fire to the plantation. But they did manage to set up quite a successful community there, going back to their African roots and traditions, and this lasted for more than 100 years to well after the sugar era had finished.
It's not just tourists who are encouraged to visit. School children are also brought here to learn about their heritage. The Interpretation Centre, in the former Sugar Master's house, tells the story of the estate, although there seem to be rather a few holes.
St Lucia's tourist industry is quite young, and the heritage tour here is definitely one of its kindergarten sites. If you're looking for serious history, then this isn't the place for you. The research is a bit shaky and the presentation rather poor, which is a great shame because St Lucia is packed full of interesting history, so let's hope they get it right in the future. St Lucia's not Las Vegas when it comes to nightlife, but Rodney Bay right here is where you want to hang out on a Friday night. You can get a bite to eat at the Lime restaurant, and then you can choose which of the competing sound systems of the Lime or the Triangle Club is to your taste. Actually, you'll probably end up coming back here if you've got real stamina, because the Lime Club goes on till 4 in the morning, and down the road is the Indy, the other big club. But the real meat of your Friday evening sandwich is here at Gros Soleil. This is the jump up. I'm going to jump down.
This is the big night out on the island, for tourists and locals alike, and for people of all ages. But don't expect an early night, as things don't start warming up until about 11 p.m.
Yes, yes, yes. Put it on your must-do list. During our time in St Lucia, we decided that it's the perfect place for a couple looking for romance. If you want to large it up or you've got a family, then there are probably better Caribbean islands to visit. Personally, I was really stunned by the landscape, which was much more dramatic and lush than I was expecting, and by the charm of places like Soufrière and Gros Soleil. And there is only one big night to go partying on Friday, but that's about as much as I can manage these days anyway, and it did give me enough energy to really appreciate the relaxed luxury that this island can offer.
Now for some basic facts to help you plan your trip to St Lucia. Throughout the year, the temperature averages 26 degrees, but remember this is a tropical island, so the chances are you're going to get a little wet sometimes. January to March are the driest months, and the wet season goes from June through to November, but there are only short, sharp showers, and you'll dry off very quickly. And when it comes to money, a good meal out with a bottle of wine costs around £20 per person, the Rainforest Jeep Safari around £55, and whale watching, with or without the whales, costs about £50. For more information on the island, contact the St Lucia Tourist Board on 020 7431 3675 or log on to their website. We travelled with Worldwide Journeys. 7 nights all-inclusive at Le Sport Hotel start from £1,269. Carib Tours and Tropical Places offer similar packages. We'll see you next time on The Travel Bug.